put up a post a couple days back. It was Throwback Thursday. Basically, the post was about the fixation that I had in 2009. You know, when I was kind of going for that pro card in 2009, I was fixated on, you know, shredded glutes, fixated on my conditioning. Like, I really wanted to just dial it in and you know, just get some shredded glutes that I really haven't attained, you know, up until that point. You know, I've gotten pretty close, as far as getting pretty close to getting some really nice shredded glutes back in 2006. But 2009, I was like, okay, I'm gonna really just grind hard and just really just focus on my discipline and really bring it home and bring that conditioning. And I got fixated on conditioning. I got fixated on the scale, because basically, if I was seeing lower weigh-ins, that in my mind that correlated to progress, progress, progress. So you know, basically, it was just all about the grind, like really trying to just push myself. And you know, in hindsight, you know, I can see now, and I could actually see, you know, after going through my 2014 season, that basically I was really just kind of blindsided, or I had tunnel vision, just, you know, too much fixation on that conditioning, and because of that, I was pushing myself probably far too hard. And you know, long story short, I definitely lost some lean muscle mass during that 2009 season. I was fortunate enough to come away with a couple pro cards, but when I look at the comparison photos from 2014 and 2009, I mean, it was night and day, a different physique. And I could say arguably I might have been leaner in 2009, maybe in some certain body parts like the glutes, but my physique as a whole in 2014 was light years ahead of 2009. And about a 10-pound difference in lean muscle mass. Now, when you say, you know, in 2009 I was 38 years old, so from 38 years old to 2014 at 43 years old, it's not like, you know, I was putting on a ton of muscle in my off season, because I, you know, up until 2014, you know, I was training, you know, 28 and a half years, somewhere in there. So it's not like, you know, all of a sudden I gained 10 pounds of lean muscle mass from the ages of 38 to 43. So it was the way in which I made my way to the stage. And you know, a lot of differences, you know, with protocol obviously, but it was that mental state, that mindset, the approach to prep, that was really key in my success. Just really kind of looking at things from the bigger picture. Like, there's far more important things than shredded glutes. You know, that's just one small piece of the puzzle. You know, you have to look at, you know, symmetry. You have to look at size. You have to look at posing, presentation. You have to look at your conditioning. You know, no doubt you need to bring some good conditioning, but you have to remember that you know, when we get on a bodybuilding stage, the goal, you know, should be to be putting a physique on stage that's gonna have as much muscle as you can possibly have on a stage. So, you know, now that I'm prepping, you know, I'm really kind of, you know, trying to take that philosophy, that approach, that mindset a step further, and really making sure that I'm doing things in a way where it's nice and conservative, and I'm always thinking about you know, my priorities with the prep. And the priority is my training. Like, I want to make sure that I can keep my performance either improving or at the very least maintaining. The last thing I want to see is me struggling in the weight room, like trying to improve lifts or maintain lifts. Because you know, if I keep pushing myself like I did in 2009, and I can recall where back then, you know, I did struggle at times with training, and I was taking things probably a little too hard in the weight room, meaning my intensity levels were far too high, you know, taking a lot of things, like a lot of sets to failure and things like that. So I really wasn't focused on trying to actually improve like my loads and things like that. It was just like, okay, no matter what weight I'm using, I'm just going to go take it to the house and go to failure, because in my mind that represented progress. Like, just basically trying to run myself into the ground with each session. That to me was like, okay, if I grind hard and I work hard in this session, and I take everything to failure, then therefore I'm going to keep progressing. But in hindsight, all that did was basically kind of just, lose some lean muscle mass. So in combination of like pushing hard in the gym as well as like pushing the diet, pushing the cardio a little too far, yeah, it was a surefire, a very good recipe to lose lean muscle mass. Whereas in 2014, my training, I did a little bit more volume, way less, going to failure, toned that way down. And I was eating, like my refeed. I like to eat like two refeeds a week, 1 to 2 towards the end and middle of the prep. It was 2 refeeds per week. I did do cardio like I did in 2009, but it wasn't that intense. It was light intensity, steady state cardio. So it was easier to recover from. That way my training can be as high, as far as performance, can be as high as possible. So you could say that it was a very, I worked hard and pushed hard, but I was a more intelligent type of work. Like I was able to, push when I needed to, but also pull back. So the recipe for 2017, the way it's looking now, and I kind of have like a little bit of a tag name to it. I call it dig and fill. So basically it's like dig and then fill a hole back up. So you dig a hole, fill the hole, dig the hole, fill the hole, and just keep rinsing and repeating that. So that way, you're not just constantly digging, and you can tell, like I can tell, like when I see athletes, that maybe look a little too flat, a little too stringy. Maybe yes, maybe they are getting shredded, they're getting peeled, and they're getting on stage in great condition. But to me, it's like there's some pieces that I can see they're just missing, and I can kind of spot when I see athletes maybe doing this probably a little too much during a prep. So for me, it's like, okay, I'm doing this, but boom, I'm bringing it back up. I'm digging, boom, and then bringing it back up. So like I said, dig and fill approach. So on that subject of, for me personally, I want to make sure that when I get on stage in 6 months, and let's just say I feel like I'm only 99% ready, I may not get on stage on October 14th. I might say, you know what, I'm gonna pick a later show, because I want to make sure that I'm chasing to the physique. Basically, my goal is to bring the very best physique that I can. I want to be able to just break what I did in 2014, the way I look, not necessarily the show placings or whatever. I want to make sure that, I'm fulfilling my potential and bettering myself. So if it means I need to extend the timeline so I can continue the approach and the philosophy of my prep, that's more important to me than trying to dig a little too hard and putting a physique on stage that might look a little bit on the stringier side. So you could win when you're not at your best. You could lose at your best. You could win at your best, which is a bonus, and you could lose when you're not at your best. So to me, for me, again, my philosophy is the approach I take to the stage, now that I'm, a much wiser and more experienced athlete, is to not let like that fixation or that tunnel vision of like, oh, I gotta grind hard to get those shredded glutes. I really don't want to let that tunnel vision impact the big picture where I end up putting a flat, stringy looking physique on stage. I want to make sure that I have symmetry, size, conditioning, posing. I want the complete package. So again, the goal for me this season is not so much to make it to a certain date. I mean, definitely going to try. It's not that I'm not going to try, but if at any point where I feel like, my overall package is in jeopardy, because I'm trying to, I get that tunnel vision again of trying to like chase some type of conditioning or something like that. No, I just move the timeline out and I stay true to my process. That's what's so important. So hopefully this is a little enlightening, and that's about it, guys. So again, trust your process, and most importantly, enjoy it.